Okay, so in 7.2, we're going to use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. And what that tells us is if we have a triangle and we have three sides, A, B, and C being the longest one, if they happen to be in the relationship that if you square A, you square B, you add them together and it equals C squared, then we know that it was in fact a right triangle. You notice in that picture that that triangle was not marked as a right triangle, but if A squared plus B squared equals C squared, we will be able to conclude that it's a right triangle. So we're going to take a look at A and B here to figure out if they're right triangles. So 3 squared is 34. It's a little hard to know maybe if that's the biggest side or not. It certainly looks like it. But if I type that in the calculator to get a decimal approximation, I see that it's about 17.49. Now, I won't actually use that info, except to know that yes, 9 and 15 are smaller than that. So that was in fact the biggest side. So since that's the biggest side, we're going to use that as the C. So there's C, and the other two then are A and B. It doesn't matter which one's which. So I'm going to use 9 maybe as my A, 15 as my B. I don't know. Whoops. If it's equal to, so I'm just going to leave a blank there. And when I square 3 squared of 4, since there's two parts to that, a square root part and a non-square part, I'm going to put it in parentheses. Square the whole thing. So let's start working on this. 9 squared is 81. I got 225. Over here, when I square 3 squared of 34, I have to use the square on both parts, the non-square part and the square part. When I square 3 squared is 9. Then I have to multiply that by, now square root of 34. The square and the square root cancel each other out, leaving you just with the 34. So 9 times 34 is what we have there. Okay, so over here I get 306. Over here I get 306 as well. So 306 is equal to 306. Therefore, this is in fact a right triangle. Let's look at B. So the longest side there is the 26. That's our C. So I'll take 14 squared plus 22 squared. I'm going to compare that to 26 squared. 14 squared plus 22 squared. I'm just going to do that all at once and get a total of 680. 26 squared is 676. So 680 is not equal to 676. Therefore, that is not a right triangle. It was 676 is almost 680. So they're almost the same. So that angle up here is almost 90, but not quite. Or it's not 90. Okay, so now we're going to jump down to theorems 7, 3, 7, 4. I'm not going to worry about the text. Here's what I'm going to write. That if a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, then we're going to have an acute triangle. And if a squared plus b squared is less than c squared, then we have an obtuse triangle. Which that kind of seems backward. If you see greater than, you might think obtuse, but you can see that greater than goes with acute and less than goes with obtuse. It's a little different maybe than what you would think. So if I went back up to the problem that we just did, I had a non-equals to sign there, but now a 680 is greater than 676. So a squared plus b squared was greater than c squared. That was an acute triangle. It didn't ask us that at that point, but now I know that it is. Let's go down to this bottom example. And you'll notice the first sentence asks if you can even make a triangle out of this. So this requires a little reminder from last semester. And in a triangle, the sum of the two shortest sides is greater than the longest side. So what we need to do is we need to check that, check and see if it's a triangle based off of that. And that should be your first step at all times. So can we have 4, 3, 5, 2, and 6, 1? Will they make a triangle? So you have to take the two smallest ones. Whoops, sorry about that. The two smallest ones. Okay, 4, 3, and 5, 1. Sorry, 5, 2. Compare that to 6, 1. So we get 9.5. Yeah, 9.5 is in fact greater than 6.1. So yes, it's a triangle. Since it's a triangle, now I have to figure out what kind of triangle it is. So I'm going to check that according to those theorems up above. So a squared plus b squared. So 4.3 squared plus 5.2 squared. And I'm going to check that against the 6.1 squared. I'm going to leave a blank there because I don't know what sign to put in there. So in the calculator, I do 4.3 squared plus 5.2 squared, and I get a total of 45.53. Blank. And the 6.1 squared is 37.21. Well, 45 is larger than 37, so that was an acute angle. Acute triangle, rather. Okay, so that's it for the notes. Now you should be able to do the 7.2 quiz on Canvas.